Hey everyone, it's George Trombley with Japanese from Zero, and this is Japanese Daily, and I believe it's number 141. We haven't done these in a while, but let's do one now. Today I was inspired to make this one from one of my Indian friends that I talk to randomly on Messenger every now and then, and she sends in this question. Hi, I have a very beginning level doubt. Checked with 2 teachers, but somehow I'm not convinced. So the past tense of an E adjective is remove the E and add katta. Yes. Atsui becomes atsukatta. The teachers are saying even atsui deshita is also correct. However, I have not studied that in any of the books, so I don't think deshita version of E adjectives is correct. What's your take? Well, my first response is no way. I don't understand how any teacher would ever say that you could say an E adjective plus deshita. You absolutely cannot. Now, I then kind of thought, well, maybe these aren't Japanese people, maybe they're Indian teachers. So I asked her, Japanese people said this? Because deshita only works with na and no adjectives, which I will show you in a second. And she said, no, one Indian teacher and another Indian teacher, but she's born and raised in Japan. Oops, sorry about that. My phone is connected to Bluetooth because I'm getting ready to call my wife in a moment to make sure that I'm not crazy. I'm not the crazy one. I want to make sure a Japanese person actually verifies this, okay? Although I am 1,000,000% absolutely certain that that is the case, all right? So let me just show you what I'm talking about. Here we go. So atsui is what is called an E adjective. Now, Japanese has 3 types of adjectives, okay? There is an E adjective, which means it ends in an E, and in order to conjugate it, you have to do some modification. Then we have na adjectives. Now, na adjectives, long story short, tend to be Chinese origin. They're like 2 kanji instead of 1 kanji and some hiragana after it, okay? And then you have what are called no adjectives. No adjectives are basically a noun that becomes an adjective when you add a no after it. A common one would be Japanese car. You take the word for Japan, it's no. It's nihon. Oops. Nihon, and then you add no. So nihon no kuruma becomes Japanese car. Now with na adjectives, in order to modify, you have to say na after it. So shizuka means quiet. You want to say a quiet person, you say shizukana hito. But with E adjectives, which are our special adjectives, okay, they're like normal adjectives in English because you can throw them right in front of a word. If we want to say a hot day, which is hi, atsui hi. Okay, now here's the difference. The main difference is that these adjectives must be conjugated in order to make them past tense or negative. For example, let's say not hot. You take the E, you drop it, and you say kunai. Now it is not hot. If I want to take my hot and say it was hot, you must say atsukatta. That is how it works, okay? But with shizuka and with saiko, with these no adjectives and na adjectives, I just say datta. Datta. Okay? So this is saiko datta. It was awesome. Shizuka datta. It was quiet, or she or he was quiet. Okay? If I want to make these negative, I have to say janai. Okay? Shizuka janai. Saiko janai. Okay? A little bit too big of a font there. Now, interestingly enough, if I want to make these into past tense negative, I would have to drop the E and say katta, shizuka jana katta. Okay? Even on these, you cannot say deshita. So that's what the rule is. All E adjectives have to drop the E and say katta. Now, I'm going to call my wife. We're going to prove it. Now, if I'm wrong, I will eat this tissue. Okay. Now, after I talk to my wife, I'm going to give you one way that you can say atsui deshita. There is actually a way to do it. Might not be what you're thinking. Let's call my wife. Here we go. call Yukari.
Calling Yukari Trombley.
Here we go.
Mobile.
All right. Come on. Hopefully she'll answer.
はい、もしもし。
あ、もしもし。
はいはい。
今、ライブストリームやってるんだけども、
はい。
で、ある生徒が先生に聞いたところで、暑いを過去形にすると、暑いでしたがいいんだって言ってました。暑かったじゃなくて、暑いでした。それは正しいですか？
いや、間違っていると思います。
じゃあ、思うの？確信じゃないのね。
間違ってます。
間違ってる。
暑い〇〇でしたという言い方になるんだったら大丈夫よ。暑い日でした。
なるほど。でも暑いでしたはダメっていうことですね。
使わないです。
わかりました。はい、ありがとうね。はい。All right. Now, let's talk about what my wife just said. Okay, this is probably where the teacher is making a mistake. Okay, now, with atsui, if I want to just say, remember, we're just saying it's or it was hot. Okay, if we're saying it was hot, then I have to say atsukatta. And by the way, it would be atsukatta desu. Okay, atsukatta desu because the adjective is already past tense. But I can use deshita with atsui if I have an object here. So if I want to say it was a hot day, I would say atsui hi deshita. Let me lower this font down a little bit. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's just make this a little bit easier to read. Okay, so I can say atsui hi deshita. It was a hot day. Okay, you wouldn't say atsukatta hi. Okay, you could say that, but in this particular sense, atsui hi deshita. Okay, now one other way that I could use atsui deshita, and there's a really, really weird case where you can say atsui with no object deshita, would be you're talking to somebody and you're talking about words and you say, oh, what was the word? What was the word? Oh, it was hot, meaning the word that we were talking about was hot. Then you could say, saki no kotoba wa, the word we just talked about, was atsui deshita. That's the only time you can do it. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense. Now, because we're live, I'm going to go ahead and look over to the questions here. Let's see if there's any questions here. All right, let's see. Just trying to see for questions. Any questions on this? I know there's a lot of you. Okay, atsukatta hi would be the hot day. Absolutely. You could say the hot day. The day that was hot would be atsukatta hi. Okay? But normally you would like to say something like atsui hi deshita. It was a hot day. Okay? All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions. Now, I am going to try to do this daily. No promises. The name of the series is Japanese Daily. And I've been teaching Japanese for easily over 6,000 days, but there have not been 6,000 of these. There's only been 141 apparently. There might be more, but I'm not sure. I'll look at a few comments. Glad to see you've lost weight. Wow, was I that fat the last time I was here? Oh, you guys might be looking at the older videos. Yes. Why no kanji? Because we're just talking about a grammar concept. No need to show kanji right now to confuse the issue. A lot of people can't read kanji yet. So we're going to just keep it simple. I could have went Romaji, but I'm not a Romaji fan. Wow. You thought this was an archived stream. No, this is live right now. And Eugene Vorster, this would be great if it was a series. I will make it a series. I definitely want to do it. What I'm going to do, though, is always do it live because the one reason that I don't do videos is all the prep work just takes my soul away. So I'm not going to do that. For those of you that are curious, will I be doing more Japanese from Zero Book 4 videos? I will. I have 2 of them prepared. I've just got to get around to scheduling it. Right now, I've been working on Japanese from Zero Book 2. Now, if you want to follow my progress on Japanese from Zero Book 2 revisions, okay, we're doing a major revision. Go over to my George Trombley channel. That's where I do it live, mostly daily, 3 to 4 hours of just purely working on that book. So you can check that out there. And if you want to see me hanging out in Japan, more of it last year because I haven't been able to go because of Corona, check out Adventures in Asia. Adventures in Asia channel is where I've been posting a ton of videos, mostly weekly, on my trips to Japan and interacting with Japanese people. Zishap says, I love Adventures in Asia series. More coming. There should be one up today. I'm not sure. Okay. Mandino07 says, Atsui hi janakatta deshita is also correct. Absolutely not. No. Atsui hi janakatta desu. It was not a hot day. Atsui, let me just punch back to the screen here. Okay. So Atsui hi, okay, hot day, janakatta. You could have the des, it's optional. With the des, it makes it sound a little bit polite. Like this, it's just informal. Atsui hi janakatta. You never, ever have katta followed by deshita. Never, ever. No. Atsui hi deshita would work. Atsukatta hi deshita doesn't work. Atsukatta deshita doesn't work. That's like saying it was hot. Okay. Let me address some live chats that I missed. I apologize. Early Grave, thank you for the $5 live chat. Philip Muniz, thank you for the $5 live chat. Mo with a $4.99 live chat. Is book 5 the last book, or will you make more? I don't publicly talk about this, but you never know. But right now, it is the last book in the series. I don't want to say there will be a book 6 or any book after that, because then people will beg me and irritate me generally about in every live stream, but when is book 6 coming out? So no, there is no future book. The next book that will come out that is brand new for Japanese is Japanese, the kanji book, Kanji from Zero, book 2. And it is fantastic. I really love it. And I am doing a revision of, I don't know where it went, but it kind of looks like this. It's a red book, but it doesn't say Korean. It says Japanese. Japanese from Zero, book 2 is a major revision coming up. All right. Thank you for the live chats. All right. Okay, let me just answer a couple more questions and then I'll get out of here, get out of your hair. I don't want to spend multiple hours on this stream like normal. Alex Petrov says, what do you think is the best way to practice understanding Japanese in general? I'm not a level TI. I don't know what that means. I'm not on a level to practice by speaking. So is reading the best option, or maybe watching movies? Well, I'll just tell you what I do. So I like to listen to podcasts. So whether it be a radio podcast or whether it be something on YouTube of Japanese people talking relatively normal. Okay. What I don't like to do, like for the record, I'm learning Vietnamese, I'm learning Filipino, and I'm learning German and Chinese and Korean, all actively. Now my Korean, I'm high level. My Chinese, I'm intermediate level. My German, I'm beginner level. And my Filipino and Vietnamese, I'm like baby level. I just started, I've had maybe 3 to 4 lessons max, okay? But I still, on my phone, have managed to find podcasts for each of the languages. Now, what I'll do is, on my phone, I will subscribe, and then because I have so many variety of podcasts, I'll change the name of the podcast to include the letter of the first letter of that language. So for example, this is my C podcast, it's Chinese.
对，就是呢，因为我今天呢其实是跟一个那个男神，就是一个帅一个 Gogo Boy， 一个就是你知道身材。
Okay, now I think I listen to that one every now and then. I was going to say what I thought he meant, but I'm not going to go there. All right. And now we've got G for German. This is one of my German podcasts.
Da kam halt so diese Ängste, dass das doch nirgendwo hinführt.
Und dann ist ganz
lustig. I have no idea what they're saying, but because I've been studying, as I listen, I'll hear patterns, I'll hear flow, I'll hear accents that my brain will be able to absorb. For example, the way that Germans say und, they hit that D pretty hard. I really hear that a lot in these radio shows, okay? I have another German one. I have a Japanese one that I listen to every now and then for pure entertainment.
ございます。最初は恋愛とはとか結婚するにはとか狭い視野でご拝見しておりましたが、最近ではどうしたらもっとうまくコミュニケーションを取れるかとか。
All right. That one is, look that one up. It's Juri. I recommend it all the time. It's a woman that teaches ugly men how to get beautiful women. Basically, she's a consultant for looking for a wife, basically. So it's just a fun thing. It's where guys will send her questions about how to deal with girls, how to understand girls, and then she'll explain how girls' feelings are different than men and stuff like that. But it's all in Japanese, and it's pretty fun daily life type stuff. And they're relatively short. Then there's another Japanese one that I like to listen to just for the pure news of it. It's called, you can look this one up, COZY up, Cozy up. Here we go.
3月25日木曜日、今日の天気は曇り。日本放送飯田浩司の OK コージーアップ。
Now, this one is very newsy in the beginning, but I'll skip ahead 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. And after he gives a certain news, like piece of information, then they'll talk in normal Japanese, but it's very clean Japanese because they're NHK announcers.
ただね、これ、お医者さんなんかも言ってますけれども、黙ってですね、そんなに大声で、口角泡飛ばして喋らずにいれば、感染の防止にもなるし、そして。
You can hear where he's going, 黙って、いれば。Like you can hear the ups and the downs, and your brain you don't have to study how to speak. You can just listen, and your brain will do it. Like if you listen, like the way that you speak English, You've heard other people speak. You know to go down. You know to go up. You know to slow down. You know all of these things because of what you've heard. The same thing for Japanese. Now I've got the same thing for Korean. I've got the same thing for. Look, I just started Vietnamese like a week and a half ago. Check this out.
Chương trình nhé. Bạn Trọng Huy 1806@gmail.com chia sẻ. Tết là lúc những đứa con xa quê như tôi.
But George, I don't understand what they're saying. Of course you don't. That's the idea. How could you understand? You just started Japanese or you're only a year in, and don't let it demotivate you. Let it motivate you, because what'll happen is if you're still studying all the time, right? Every day or every other day, you're getting some study in, you're learning some new phrases. You've got a teacher on italki.com, which I highly recommend for like a few bucks an hour. $15 an hour. If you're getting a teacher, a little bit more expensive, but if you want a tutor that can help you out, go to italki.com and you can learn Japanese as a teacher. And then when you're listening to the podcasts, you'll be listening and all of a sudden, oh my God, I understood that word. Oh man. Oh wow. Oh my God, I understood. And what happened with me in Korean is that eventually, initially I was like, oh, I heard a grammar that I know. Oh, I heard a word that I know. And eventually, as my Korean got better and better and better, I was starting to understand content. And then I wasn't listening purely for the Korean. I was like, oh, this is fun. Oh, wait, so what the husband do? Oh, man. Because it's a call-in show that I listen to a lot called Dusia Date, where they call in, wives call in, and people that are staying at home during the day will call in and talk about their troubles in life. And you're like, oh, man, oh, God, she shouldn't have done that. And I forget that I'm listening to Korean. And now it's just a part of my enjoyment cycle. Okay, so I completely forgot what the question was. Something about getting better in Japanese, but that's what you do. You improve your listening. The better your listening is, the better your speaking will be. But another thing that I do, and I highly, highly, highly recommend, is every now and then you just repeat what they say as best as you can. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Because you can listen until you're blue in the face, but if you don't actually push Japanese out of your mouth, you don't connect the Japanese in your brain to your mouth, you can't, just listening to Japanese and not actually speaking it is the equivalent of watching somebody ride a skateboard for a couple of years and not getting on the skateboard. It's completely different. You might understand all the mechanics of skateboarding until you get on the skateboard. Then you fall right on your oshiri. All right. All right. I realize it's been a long time since I've done these live streams. Keep in mind, my goal is not to do a long live stream. I'm going to answer 2 more things, and then I'm going to jet out so these aren't big, long things. Okay, Nick Capo Bianco says, George, do you have any advice for people that work 45 hours a day, a week, a week? And how can we maximize our study games when we're exhausted? Have you been sleeping more? I'm surprised you're streaming midday. Well, can we maximize our study games when we're exhausted? Well, it is difficult when you're exhausted. It is absolutely difficult. But what's not difficult is to get a podcast on your phone, is to find a YouTuber that you find interesting for any reason, whether there's a game that you used to play and they're playing that game, or, oh my God, that girl is so cute, or, oh my God, that guy is so hot. And just give yourself on the toilet, get some headphones, be on the toilet at work and just like listen to it for a bit, right? And think about that. You do not need to learn 90 things in a day. You know, I had a Chinese lesson on italki the other day. I learned one grammar thing and I was excited beyond belief, right? Because how many grammar do you think you need to know to speak Chinese or German or Japanese or any language? It's not more than a few hundred. So if you learned one every couple days in a year, you'd be able to say a ton. So I know you're exhausted, man, but I built my company when I was exhausted. I built this entire company as a tour guide and doing simultaneous interpreting work because it was the thing I love to do. If you're learning and you're loving it, come home, take 10 minutes, read one part of Japanese from zero, watch one short video on a grammar, okay? Review one thing, post one moment on Hello Talk, take a 30-minute lesson on italki, even if you're tired, okay? If you want it, there's no way to learn it without pushing a little bit, right? 45 hours a week. Let's think about that. What is that? I don't even know. 8 hours plus a day, right? 8 hours plus a day. Well, guess what? There's 24 hours in the day. You're probably only going to sleep 8 or so, right? So come home, take a nap, wake up, and just watch something Japanese for a bit. You know, it's worth doing. You know, it is so worth doing. It is so fun knowing Japanese. To watch, even look, honestly, will you be able to watch anime completely without subs in a year? No. No matter what anyone teaches you, no. But will you be able to watch it and not rely on the subs as much? Will you be able to watch it and hear words that you know and hear phrases that you know? Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that's the door. Push it open more and more every day, right? And the more you watch and the more you interact and the more you shadow, you will be fluent in Japanese. And I'll tell you what, I will be fluent in Vietnamese. I will be fluent in Tagalog. You know, I had no interest in Tagalog, but once I started, I got so excited learning the rules. I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. Do you know how fun it is? It's one of the greatest puzzles. Learning a language is so amazing. All right. One more thing. Okay. Could you, Bass Lighter says, George, could you please make a comment on Marugoto course books? I don't know those books. I don't know them at all. And you're not going to hear me. Look, please understand, I have written 6 or 7 Japanese books, 5 course books. I built, over the last 20 years, an entire website. I've made hundreds, if not thousands of videos teaching Japanese. Am I going to ever realistically say, I recommend this? That's not my own thing. No, come on. Just as a human being, I'm not able to, I can't be that against my own self-interest, right? I wrote what I think is the best. I can say this. I made a video, I haven't uploaded it yet, that I'm going to put on Polyglot George. It talks about this Vietnamese book that I bought that had pretty good rankings. And I'm telling you, it's the worst book I've ever seen for a language. It's horrible. I don't know why it's getting ranked high. And I really began to understand one thing, and take this with a grain of salt and know that I am biased. Japanese from Zero is an amazing book series. When I compare us to other books that I'm using for French, for German, for whatever language I'm looking at, I'm like, wow, how do they get away with not explaining what they're teaching? They just throw you a phrase, expect you to understand it, and don't walk you through what you're doing. And so many books don't teach you how to build Japanese sentences. They teach you a sentence and they teach you how to replace words in a sentence. They don't give you power. And I'm not talking about just Japanese. I'm talking about every language. It's like they don't understand how to break it down. So this is why I know, and you know me, you've watched my videos for a long time. I don't say this. I don't say, my books are the best. I don't normally say that. I really don't. If I did, it's rare. Okay. And I don't go, you don't got to buy the book. But I'm telling you, Japanese from Zero, get through book 5, then worry about where you're going to go next. Okay. Even in the very first book video that I did for Japanese from Zero series, I say use other sources. And I still want you to use other sources. You know, watch Japanese Pod 101 videos. Watch Real Japanese Miku. I love her. Real Japanese Miku is my favorite Japanese YouTuber for Japanese. Watch Japanese Amo Misa. She releases a lot of really good content. Not my style, not my favorite, but you're going to learn something, okay? Do whatever keeps you moving forward. That's what you do. All right, I don't know Marigoto. All right, since I don't know what Marigoto was, let me just one more, and then I'm out of here. I've already been going 26 minutes. Okay. I answered that question. Go watch the beginning of the video when I'm done. Okay. Let's see. If I finish book 5, this is it. This is the final question. If I finish book 5, it's around here somewhere. Here's book 4. Here's book 4. This is book 4. Book 5 is pink. I don't know where it went. It's around here somewhere. It's in the back. All right. If I finish book 5, where'd that question go? I'm going to be able to read Naruto, Boruto, Bleach in Japanese? Yes. Will you understand everything? No. Will you understand every kanji? No. No book series will bring you to that level. None. It's not possible. You require so many inputs. I want you to imagine that 5 books could teach someone completely English. They cannot. It's just not possible. Okay. We learn English, like you still are learning English. Like I still am learning Japanese words. Okay. I still have to look, like if I'm watching Japanese TV with my wife, I sit there, I have my phone always nearby, everyone does, and I have the app Japanese. It's just a dumb name for the app, but it's a dictionary, Japanese. And I'll hear something like, oh, what's that? Like I hear the word all the time. I just said, what is that? How would we translate that in English? And I look it up. You know what? And then in that app, I'm going to end on this, okay? I want you to know, out of everyone you know that speaks Japanese, I probably am the number 1 most understanding of Japanese. I've written textbooks. I've done simultaneous interpreting, okay? I lived in Japan for 9 years. I've been married to my wife who doesn't speak English for 25. Both of my daughters are fluent in Japanese, okay? But I still have a list in here of words that I looked up. Where is it? Okay. It's my interesting list. Okay. I have danshari. I didn't know danshari. It means decluttering. Okay. I have keisha, inclination. An inclination. I didn't know that word. Okay. I looked up, even though I know this, I looked up kawaigaru. I don't know why I looked it up, but I think a lot of times I look up a word and I go, what is a good way to translate that in English? It's to cherish. Kawaigaru. That's a really good translation for it, right? So I look up words too. And I have been involved with Japanese since I was 12. I'm 48. That's 36 years if you're going to do the math. Most of you aren't even 36 years old. Okay? So you'll never ever understand everything, even if you got fluent and even if you got Japanese language proficiency test level 1 N1, you still might have to look up a word in Boruto or Naruto. Okay, that's my answer. All right. Thank you for coming. I will hopefully see you tomorrow. We'll try to keep these live streams down to less than 30 minutes. If you want to ask me a question, maybe I'll use one of them. No promise. Please hit me up in Discord or ask it to the subreddit, okay, which is reddit.com/r/Japanese from Zero. You can ask it there. I'll try to look up your question. No promises, okay? And you can hit me up in the Discord. look it up. Japanese from Zero Discord. There's links everywhere. And just click my name and send me the question. That's it. I will try to see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a good day.